you were gone. He couldn't believe it. He could hear the monitor beep. He could see the rise and fall of your chest. But you were gone. He would never hear you laugh again, or feel your arms wrap around him at night. You were gone. Unless this plan had to work. It wasn't much of a plan as far as plans go. You just had to trust Aura to follow through on her part. She needs to go back in time about 20 years and take him with her. 2 things she's never done before. Great. But according to her, going back and stopping Puppeteer from killing their dad was the answer to everything. He just got a weird feeling that she was hiding something from him. Like she wasn't giving him all the facts. If he was about to risk his life, he was going to need more than hope and a prayer. So, how does it work? Aura needed to know about the operation. Nodded and took a seat next to him. Well, it's nothing like Back to the Future. There's only one of me, meaning I can travel to a time that I didn't exist, and I will always be the age I was or will be at that time. So if I travel 60 years into the future, I'd be an old woman, and if I travel 20 years into the past, I'll be... Bakugou groaned. You'll be a child. God damn it. Now I need to add babysitting to this stupid-ass plan of yours. Aura rolled her eyes. Oh, please. I was almost 10. It's not like you'll have to change my diaper or anything. Bakugou raked his fingers through his hair in frustration. No, just all the fighting. Shit, will I be a kid? I'm younger than you are. I told you I've never done this before, so how the fuck would I know? In the dream, I had you were an adult, though if that helps. It didn't help, but there was no point in stressing out about it now. He sat up and stared at the ceiling. She won't remember me, will she? Aura gave him a sad look. Unfortunately, no. Her meeting you, the life you lived together, will be erased. The only people who will remember will be you and I. There's a possibility she'll be a completely different person than the one you knew. He felt tears well up, but he had cried enough today. He was done crying. It was time to do something about it. Alright, one more time from the top. What's the plan? Aura sighed in relief once she knew he was back on board. So I'll take us back to the day my dad was killed. I know for a fact Puppeteer was the one who did it. He wasn't very big in the organized crime world yet. He was still pretty young and didn't have many people working for him. He did something kind of fucked up, and it's honestly scaring me from using my quirk for a while. She took a deep breath before she continued. Puppeteer used my dad's own quirk to make him travel so far into the future to a time he was already dead, leaving no body or evidence. Just poof, gone. Now, I don't go into the future for any reason. That shit's scary. Bakugou nodded thoughtfully. Okay, so if you don't go in the future, how do you plan to get me here after we stop Puppeteer? Aura sagged a bit in her chair. I guess I'll just have to look it up. I guess. Bakugou stood up rather abruptly and walked over to where you were laying in your bed. So let me get this straight. You want me to go back in time 20 years, something you don't know how to do, to a time where you weren't even 10 yet? Kill Puppeteer, hope that you can find a way to return us back to my current time, and all for you and to have no clue who I am. Yes, but at least she'll be alive and safe. Why not just go back a week and stop from being kidnapped? Aura backed her hand on his tense shoulder. Bakugou, she had a very hard, tragic life full of abuse, pain, and abandonment. You have the option of giving her life back, giving her a chance to really live. Damn it. He said he was done crying. He looked at your still face, covered in bruises and scrapes. He didn't want this life for you. He wanted you to be happy, no matter what the cost. I'm ready. Let's do this. He held his hand out to Aura, who gripped it tightly. I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, hold your breath and close your eyes. He nodded. 1. He has to do this. 2. He promised to keep you safe, and this is how he's going to keep that promise. 3. Everything went black. He tried not to panic. There was no way this is how it ended. He knew he wasn't dead because he was still aware of himself. He could feel a little breeze as if he was being dragged through the air of a very dark, very cold, dark room. Then, pop! He was standing outside of a house in the middle of the day. He looked down, and he was holding the hands of a very short, kind of adorable version of Aura. He suddenly felt very creepy and let go of her hand. Almost hit my ass. There's no way you're older than 7.
It worked! And you're here too. Oh, thank God you're an adult.
She sounded way too relieved about that, which made him think she actually wasn't sure at all it was going to work before. He opened his mouth to protest, but he was interrupted by the slamming of the front door.
Aura!
He whisked his head around and saw a woman who looked like you, only she was stick-thin without a curve in sight. Her hair was stopped short in a pixie cut. This had to be your mom. She was holding a small child on her chest, and when the child turned to look at you, there was no doubt. Those were your eyes. The woman's head snapped from Aura to Bakugou. Who the hell are you? Why are you talking to my daughter? She looked like she was on edge. Of course she was. Any minute, Puppeteer would be showing up to collect her child. And she didn't need any witnesses. Bakugou wanted to punch her right in the face, blow her ass up into a million pieces. But he couldn't. For one, she was your mom. And secondly, he couldn't do any of that while she was holding you. So instead, he squared his shoulders and looked her right in the eye. Friend of your husband's, is he home? She narrowed her eyes at him.
I'm afraid not. He's attending some business, and I don't know when he'll be back.
Bakugou smirked at her. That's fine. I'll wait. She held her hand out, summoning Aura.
I don't think I'm comfortable with that, seeing as I don't know you.
Aura giggled like a silly child, which made sense concerning she was.
Oh, Mama, you're so funny. You know him. He comes to play with me and Daddy, and sometimes you let him.
Aura shot daggers at her daughter.
I've never seen this man before in my life.
She steps closer and grabs Aura by the arm, making her closer. She stared into her eyes for a bit before she gasped. You wicked child! What have you done now? She looked back at Bakugou. And for the last time, who the fuck are you? Honey, language. The girls are seriously right there. A man with kind eyes and a warm-looking smile walked through the front gate. Aura had tears in her eyes as she threw herself into his arms.
Daddy!
The man picked her up and cupped her face. Aura, sweetie, why are you crying? She sniffed before she smiled.
I just missed you.
The man laughed lightly and mustered up her hair. You saw me at breakfast yesterday morning, you silly goose. He leaned forward and kissed your mom on the lips, and then he kissed you on top of the forehead. Your mother turned pale, and she looked up and down the streets in panic. Honey, what are you doing home? You must be back until tomorrow. He reached for you and took you in his other arms as he was holding both of his daughters at the same time. Oh, I just miss the girls too much. I need you to come home. He turned to Bakugou with a confused but polite look on his face. I'm sorry, son. Have we met? Your mother's eyes blurred. He said he was a friend of yours. Her eyes shifted to Aura. Aura, who is this man? Aura stubbornly crossed her arms over her chest. My friend. The man looked perplexed. Aura, is this a now friend or is this a future friend? Honey, we talked about this before. It's not okay to play with time. He was interrupted by a slamming on the front gate. Bakugou whipped around and came face to face with Puppeteer. Sir, I can't tell you right now who I am or why I'm here, but please just listen to me when I tell you that this man, he pointed to Puppeteer, is here to destroy your whole life. Don't let him touch you, and definitely don't listen to anything your wife tries to tell you. She's working for him. He wants your daughters. He wants their quirks. Bakugou's hands started to pop. You could do it now. You could kill him right now. Your mother yanked Aura from their father's grasp. You stupid, ungrateful child, you brat! What'd you do? I saw it in your eyes. Your eyes are way too old. They have seen way too much. She was shaking Aura now and looked frantically at Puppeteer. I'm sorry, sir. Her power was stronger than I knew. Yeah, I can give you both of them. You win. She's starting showing bits of her quirk, and it seems closer to my quirk. Take them. Please don't kill me. Sir, please. Your dad took a step back, gripping you tighter, his eyes widened and pained. You were selling our children? Who are you and what have you done with my wife? Puppeteer smirked. Little mimics, isn't she? It's always been quite the siren. I was hoping to do this more quietly with no faculties, but I have your children now. So I guess there's really isn't a need for you anymore. He reached in his jacket pocket and pulled out a gun. Who do I kill first? The man protecting his children? The woman who couldn't do one simple task I asked of her? Or should I kill the man who somehow knows all of my secrets? He turned the gun to face Bakugou. I think I'll start with you. The whole thing seemed almost silly to Bakugou. A gun? Really? It seemed hard to believe it was the same man who had armies of evil's quirk at his disposal. Bakugou dealt with thugs with guns every day. Puppeteer pulled the trigger and Bakugou immediately reacted by blasting himself in the air to avoid getting hit. Mid-air, he sent a blast at Puppeteer's direction. It blew up right in his face, but the only thing it achieved was making him drop the gun. Puppeteer growled. Stupid boy, you can come here without backup. As we speak, I've sent someone cloaking me with a force field. Bakugou sent another blast his way. Good for you, but you can't keep that up forever. He sent another blast. I, on the other hand, have been training my whole life. I can do this all day. He sent another blast. He would keep doing it over and over again until the force field gave out and Puppeteer was a smoldering pile of ash. Puppeteer was sinking on his knees under the force of Bakugou's explosions. Bakugou didn't plan on letting up anytime soon, but then he heard a voice. It was almost like it was in his head. It was whispering to him. He shook his head and tried to concentrate, but it grew louder. Stop, you don't want to hurt him. He's our friend. You want to help him. Bakugou screamed as he tried to drown out the voice. It had been coming from your mother. He looked over to your father, looking like he was also fighting some internal battle against her siren songs. He was on his knees and his eyes screwed shut as his hands covered his ears. Aura was doing her best to try and pick you up, and was trying to run from your mother.
Bakugou's hurt. Don't listen to her.
Bakugou had sweat pouring down his face. He took one hand and pointed at your mother and blasted an explosion on your feet. It sent her flying, and when she landed, she looked to be unconscious. The voice stopped as soon after, and he turned his full attention back to Puppeteer, except he wasn't there anymore. You heard a scream as he turned just in time to see Puppeteer scoop you up. Aura was yelling for your dad to wake up. He was slowly coming to, but it wasn't going to be fast enough. Bakugou ran towards you. He just needed to get you away from him. He didn't come this far just for you to be kidnapped anyways. Give her back, asshole! Or I promise I'll make you a slow, painful death rather than the quick one I had planned. Puppeteer laughed. How stupid do you think I am? As long as I hold her, you won't hit me. His shield guy must be wiped out. He's resorting to human vanity. Hiding behind a child. Hiding behind you. Bakugou's palms sparked and popped dangerously as his fury increased by the second. You fucking coward! I will kill you! Fight me like a man! Bakugou could see your dad starting to finally come to, and he could see Aura whispering and pointing at you. Her dad nodded and locked eyes at Bakugou for a moment, and nodded, then he disappeared. Bakugou was confused for a second before he realized what was happening. He time traveled. He probably went back a few minutes to grab you. He just had to wait. Now! Your dad was back and holding you in his arms. Puppeteer looked down at his now empty hands and yelled, Get behind me! Your dad scooped up Aura and ran in Bakugou's direction, right as a large explosion right at Puppeteer. He didn't stop though. He held it there, yelling, releasing his grief, all of his anger. Finally, a small hand tugged on his pants legs. It was you. With ponytails and a missing tooth, but it was you.
Dad said you can stop now.
She was right there. There wasn't anything left. She was right there. Wasn't anything left. Puppeteer and police cars were starting to pull up. Bakugou felt his knees and slowly pulled you into a hug. He had tears in his eyes as you held you to him. You had promised me that you would live a life to your fullest. Always be patient and kind and don't ever let anyone take advantage of you. He pulled away and looked into your very confused eyes. I hope to see you again someday. You wiped some snot from your runny nose.
You're weird.
Then you turned and ran back into your dad's waiting arms. Bakugou had to hide from the police while they questioned your family. He didn't know how the law worked, but he could only assume it would be bad for him to be put in jail. The police knew everything about your dad's quirk and what he did to look the other way. After all, your dad had been helping them prevent murders for years. They still interrogated them for a few hours, but at the end of the day, your mother was arrested, Puppeteer was dead, and you were safe. Aura walked into the basement where he had been hiding. Yuan's asleep now. She looked like she was at a loss for words.
I don't know what to say except thank you.
Bakugou smirked. It's not like I really had any other choice. Aura smiled.
I guess not.
She took a seat next to him on the couch, and they both took a minute to really grasp this new reality. your dad was alive, you both were going to have normal lives. Bakugou cleared his throat. So, what now? How do I get back? Aura blushed.
Well, you see, that's the tricky part.
Aura's eyes widened. Aura!
Hey, let me finish, will ya?
Shit, I'm not going back. I never planned to.
I finally have my dad back. I want to really relive my childhood I never had, you know?
Bakugou narrowed his eyes. Aura, you're almost 30 years old. How the hell are you going to pull off being 7?
I'm 8, thank you very much. And I don't know, I'd say I'll be a child prodigy, but honestly, I never really went to school. It's probably for the best that I do now.
Learn what all the fuss is about. He snorted. So you're going to do what? Go back to school, learn math equations, and shit and pretend everything's happy? And fine?
Aura nodded. Yeah, pretty much. Someone has to look after UN anyways. And hey, I'm around your age. Who knows? Maybe we'll see each other at UA. Or maybe UN will. The world is so full of possibilities now.
Bakugou nodded. So you're staying? What about me? How do I get back?
Aura didn't say anything for a little bit, which made Bakugou nervous. So technically, I can't send you back. I'm too young in my powers and nowhere near ready to handle that. But before you start to yell at me, my dad should be able to do it. I think.
You think? Did you fucking trap me here? This was not part of the plan.
Aura shrugged. You know it was a shit plan from the beginning.
You hear soft laughter coming from the stairs. It's going to take some time to get used to hearing my child sound like a grown woman. Your dad walked in and took a seat in the recliner across from Bakugou. Aura has filled me in on, well, everything. I can't even begin to express how thankful I am for what you have done for both of my daughters. I may not be able to send you all the way back to your present, but I can try to get you as close as possible. Bakugou stood up and reached for his hand. Sir, it's an honor to meet you. No need to thank me. I just did what any hero would. Your dad reached out and shook Bakugou's hand with a smirk. Sure, any hero might have done the same, but you weren't just any hero. I believe you truly loved UN. Bakugou blushed. Yes, sir, I truly do. I'd do anything for her, even if she doesn't remember. Your dad nodded. Well, I have to warn you, after I send you back, I plan on changing our last names and moving. I've meddled with time enough to know it's best to let things happen organically as possible. Don't look for her. If she's meant to find you again, she will. If not, well, you always have my gratitude. He scratched the back of his neck. I feel like I should be honest with you, though. The chance of that fate would bring you two together in more than one timeline, well, it's not likely. Bakugou felt his heart sink. Did he really have to leave this fate? Did he have to trust the universe would bring you back to him? He nodded. It's what's for the best. If it's what's in our best interest, I'll do my best. Your dad smiled. That's all I ask. He put his hand on Bakugou's shoulder. I hope to see you again some days. I'll be rooting for you. Bakugou nodded. Thank you. Oh, sir, if fate should bring you and I back together, I'd like to ask you right now if I could have your permission to marry her. Your dad sighed. Bakugou, I can't promise that she'll find her way back to you or she won't fall in love with someone else, but if you two crazy kids find a way, I'll be thrilled. Bakugou smiled for what felt like the first time in weeks. Thank you, sir. I think I'm ready. Your dad nodded and pop. everything went black again. He wasn't nervous this time, though. He knew he'd pop back into reality soon. What he wasn't expecting was that he'd pop back in at the UA Sports Festival. Okay. High school all over again. "10 years later, Bakugou sat in the coffee shop. It wasn't exactly the same now as it was the first time, seeing as Puppeteer never came to power his little brother, never got his hands on it. Tasha, however, was here, and she was thriving as the manager. She flirted with him a few times, but instead of being a grump about it, he introduced her to Kirishima. They had been happily dating for quite some time now, and he had to admit, they were a cute couple. Ever since coming back from his little trip to the past, he tried his hardest to live his life the way you would have wanted him to. He tries to be more patient and kind. It doesn't always work, but at least he's trying. He comes here almost every day. He orders the stupid drink that he loves so much and reads a book. Today was a little earlier than usual because he got off from an overnight shift a little earlier. He dragged his tired feet across the threshold and up to the counter, where an amused Tasha was waiting for him. "Long night?" Bakugou rolled his eyes. "Longest. Can I have my usual?" Tasha smiled. "Of course, sir, Grumps-a-lot. Go take a seat. I'll bring it out to you. On the house today. Heroes discount." He smirked before thanking her and sitting down on the nearest couch. It just so happened to be the one he had kissed you on in another life. He sat there, his eyes closed, and let the sun come in and the window warm his tired soul. Sure, physically, he is in his mid-20s, but his brain and soul were much older. It wasn't long before he heard his order being called out at the pickup corner, and he groaned. Hadn't Tasha told him that she would bring it to him? "Ugh, coming." He stomped over the counter and reached out for his coffee, but his hand met someone else's. A sweet voice rang out. "Oh, I'm sorry, but I think that might be mine." He froze. He knew that voice. He was scared to look up. He would be devastated if he got his hopes up and it wasn't you. Slowly he raised his eyes to meet the most beautiful face he had ever seen. It took everything in him not to scream. "Oh, it might be. I don't know anyone else who orders it." You giggle. "It's called the cinnamon bun latte. It's not really on the menu, but Tasha's nice enough to make it for me. She recommended it to me one day, and it's all I've drinking since." Bakugou smiled, beaming actually. "That's probably my fault. I've been forcing her to make the drink for me for years now." Tasha walked up and handed Bakugou his coffee. "Hey, what gives? I told you I'd bring you coffee." Bakugou nodded. "Oh yeah, I was just talking to He caught himself at the last second. He had to remember he wasn't supposed to know who you were. "Yuen, my name's Yuen." You reached your hand out to shake his. "Nice to meet you, Yuen. I'm Katsuki. If you don't mind, I kind of claimed the couch over there if you want to join me." You blushed and bit your lip. "Sure, sounds good." His heart started to pound out of his chest. It was you. You were really here. He was talking to you. You took a seat next to him a little closer than you probably should have, but he just smelled so good, and something about him seemed familiar. Bakugou pointed at the book in your hand. "So, what you reading?" Your eyes lit up with excitement. "Oh, it's this really lovely book. It's about two soulmates who find each other in the coffee shop. She gave him her number, but he accidentally threw it away. He goes back every day looking for her, and finally fate brings them together. And because she had this really weird coffee order, he had remembered. I know it sounds silly, but I just love it. It's probably the third time I've read it." Bakugou smiled and scooted a little bit closer to you. "No, this is an amazing story." Hello, my Beanos! We have reached the end of this amazing series. Please go support the author, Back-to-Back Bakugou. I keep saying Back-to-Back Bakugou. Please go support them. They're on Tumblr. The link is always in the description if you want to go check them out. Because me personally, as a fellow fan fiction reader community, I've been all over the place, and it's mildly infuriating when there isn't a link to the author. What if I want to read ahead? Or I want to see the other artists' work? You can't tell me where to find them either. Okay, enough of my complaining. I hope you all find a reason to stick around. I'm trying to upload. Also, happy Bakugou birthday! I'm kind of throwing this together in like 2 hours. I've been playing Persona 5 Royal all day. Guilty as charged. Yeah. Anyway, consider this a little Bakugou birthday special, the final part of... Forgot the name for a second. I'm gonna make a special home. Yeah. Okay, this is the final part. They said they might have like little side parts, but so far, this is the finale. It's over. It's done. Please don't beg for part 10. I mean, I get a lot of begging in the comments, and it just makes me feel terrible about it. I mean, sure, I like it when you guys ask for more stuff, but like, all caps, I need part 10. I mean, I get it. Can you just be a little more subtle about it? Like, don't scream at me. Also, I'm kind of hyper right now. I may or may not be running in a bunch of chocolate. Okay, needless to say, yeah, I guess that's it. I'm pretty sure that's all I need to tell you guys. I hope you all have an amazing night, and, whatever, amazing day, yeah. It's night for me right now. Yeah. See y'all later. Bye.